What is up, everybody? It's episode 20 of Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson. This is Final Bosses uploading. We want to welcome on Josh once again. Josh, thanks for joining us. I think my third episode, recurring guest now. We're
We'll
excited.
take it. Second, we'll take it. Second one. Happy to be with you both, and thanks for inviting me on again. Appreciate it.
We got a
No
lot to
problem.
talk we're deep in, I guess, towards the end of the NCAA tournament, the last weekend of March Madness, which is bittersweet. I always forget how long March Madness is, and it's a little bit exhausting towards the end, especially when you're a UConn Huskies fan and you have games every other night. It's really exhausting.
Oh my God.
We're excited to see you. We're excited to chat. There's just a whole hell of a lot of stuff going on. But how are you guys doing?
Good, good. We want to send a shout out to everyone. If you were on the East Coast today, 2 out of 3 of us felt it. We all felt that earthquake that just happened a few minutes ago. As far as emanating from somewhere close to Lebanon, New Jersey, 4.8 earthquake felt here in Philly, all the way in the Stamford, Connecticut area for Morgan, New York City for Josh, but he was on, I guess, the wrong side of his room. He didn't feel it. but but yeah, so I'm hoping everyone's okay. I know on my side everybody's good over here, so we're hoping and praying that everybody is good. For all of you tuning in, obviously it's a big weekend here in Philly with WrestleMania being here. So I will be going to that, but I'm excited for the games. It's heating up in the NBA. Basketball is on point, man. Caitlin Clark, Paige Becker, South Carolina, the battle of the Carolinas, South Carolina, NC State. NC State, just like Connecticut, still having both men's and women's in the game. What a surprise there if you're an NC State fan. Shout out to one of my people that's a big NC State guy, Michael Reed. So there's your shout out. He's a big NC State guy, although I don't think he really has any hope that NC State will beat Purdue. But he's keeping faith alive, so they're making him proud. So what about you, Josh? What's going on with you?
Yeah, a lot of big sports topics to talk about, and you know, this is the crazy time of the year. I just got off of the NCAA tournament, and you know, now it's time for the real madness to get underway down in Arizona and also in Cleveland as well. So all starts tonight. Very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, Morgan, how are you? How's everything going?
Good. I'm glad to see the sun. I feel like we haven't seen the sun in like 2 weeks here in Connecticut, which is good. I am running a half marathon tomorrow, which is crazy.
Oh, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, so hopefully I don't, bust my knees open or break an ankle. So just praying for a finish. I don't care how long it takes me. I just want to finish it. But good. Yeah, I'm excited to root on UConn tonight and tomorrow. Yeah, it's been good. Football is starting to pick up. The draft's in about 3 weeks, so we are, as always, going through and reviewing the draftees and the prospects and all the stuff. So it's gonna be fun. We got a fun couple weeks of sports coming up.
Good. Well, let's get it started then.
So
Want to lead us off with this?
yeah, so I actually just got a ESPN blast on my phone about this. I was like, oh my god, did he pick something? But no, it was just the original notification that Bronny James, who, if you don't know, is the son of LeBron James, is entering the draft and transferring from USC. So he's entering the draft, but also what is the word?
Maintaining
Maintaining. I'm like, that is not the word. Maintaining his NCAA.
eligibility.
What is going on this morning? I have not finished my class.
It's all good.
And I don't think this is a huge shock. I don't know. It's the weirdness behind this is that, we don't really know what he could have done this year because he had the heart issue over the summer. So, I think a lot of people thought that he was on restricted minutes throughout the year and stuff like that. So he didn't. We don't say he wasn't good at USC. think he made like a major impact. I think the only way that he would get drafted would be because a team wanted his dad to come, would be my assumption. I don't know if he really had a bunch of like actual draft stock right now. I think transferring and going out and showing off somewhere else might be the way to go, but that's more my opinion. How about you guys?
Well, I think for me, I'm of the same. I'm in agreement with you that I think he's good. I think obviously the hardest hat kind of delayed him from being what he should have been at USC, and obviously as it should. We want to be careful with that. We don't want people dying on the court. Obviously, it was for his protection and the protection of the schools and everything else. We're not in the 1960s or 1970s anymore where we would let people just go back on the court when they say they're good and die on the court. We don't want that. So we're happy that USC took his health first and foremost. If I was him, I think his draft stock is okay. I mean, I joked with Josh that he's Judah Mintzing it because this is what Judah Mintz did last year. Like he was good, but he didn't really have like the stock in the draft that he wanted. And I feel like, Bronny will find out when he gets evaluated that people will say he's good, but he's not like NBA ready yet. And unless he really wants to go through the G League way of doing it, that he should go back to school. And I think he'll wind up, if I was him, now this is a little bit biased of me, but if I was him, and LeBron has said recently this week that if he does come back to school, he wants to go somewhere where he can win and obviously develop his skills. So what other school to go to and win and be in a great conference than Syracuse University? Right there in Central New York. It would not be far. Well, it'd be far for him, but he wouldn't be the first person from California to come to Syracuse. Get trained and everything else. Or he could do the more logical thing family-wise and go to all y'all gonna be mad at me. So I apologize in advance for all you people that go to this school. Duquesne, however they'll pronounce it. Because I apparently this, huh? Duquesne? I don't know. Duquesne. I said they're gonna be mad at me. Duquesne. Is it Duquesne?
Yeah.
Duesune. That's
look. Yeah. So Duquesne. I don't know, bro. Like I said, they'd be mad at me. Duquesne. He could go there, but if I was him, I'd go to Syracuse, be in the ACC, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a biased alum, but also I'm saying that for his development too, because I think he would be great in the ACC, great being under Red Tree and being under all that development there. Obviously Gary McNamara, shout out to him. He's going to Siena now. But he can do all that, learn from Melo, a good family friend of his, and learn from what's going on in Syracuse and give Red another big-time all-star. Now, there'd probably be a mass transfer exodus again, like what's happening now in Syracuse if Bronny came. But, I think Syracuse and/or with Duquesne would be great.
I'm sorry to, bring your hopes down a little bit, but saying an actual 0% chance that Bronny James goes to Syracuse. It's more likely he goes to Duquesne, which is also like I give it like a 1% chance that happens. I think I have 3 schools here. I'm honestly going to add actually a 4th school. First of all, I'll just say I don't think Bronny James is NBA ready. I know people might disagree with that, but obviously what happened this past season was tough news for everybody to hear. Going through the cardiac arrest that obviously derailed him, and him coming off the bench, not getting, consistent playing time under Andy Enfield. I understand why he's transferring with Enfield departing for SMU and Eric Musselman coming in. He could stay. Eric Musselman, I think, is a guy that gets the most out of his players and is a good coach to play for. I also think maybe he could stay closer to home at UCLA. Another guy, Mick Cronin, who gets a lot out of his players. But I'm also looking at 3 other schools here. I'm going to start with Kentucky because we all know that Coach Cal produces great NBA talent. what better way if you want to get NBA ready, if you want to play with your father after 1 year of playing in college, why not go to Kentucky and play in Rupp Arena with Coach Cal? I know that there could be a little bit of a shift in the mindset in Lexington due to the recent NCAA tournament struggles that Kentucky has faced, but I think that would be my top option. Close number 2, I'm going to go with Morgan School. I'm going to go with UConn. Dan Hurley, another great coach that gets the most out of his players. Look at what they're doing now. Back-to-back seasons, going to the Final Four, could be a back-to-back champ for the first time since 2007. That's pretty incredible. I'm also looking at Illinois as well. And that's my last school I'll say. Brett Underwood, another guy that's a good coach. I wasn't very happy with his game plans during the tournament, especially against UConn. But another guy that demands a lot out of his players, and I think Bronny should be going to a place where he should be the primary guy or could be one of the primary guys, because that's what he's going to be expected to be when he's an NBA player, given, whether it's fair or not, when you're LeBron James's son, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am thinking he's going to want to stay closer to the West Coast. It's just my opinion on it. I'm looking at a school, like Arizona or that kind of like out there closer to home. I think he did the whole stay in California, so I don't necessarily know. I like UCLA. I think that's not a bad option, but I'm looking at something like an Arizona, Illinois. I don't think would be that unrealistic. Or Houston, some of these top schools that are maybe looking for that extra puzzle piece to kind of bring them over the top, which I think a lot of these schools are. These 1 and 2 seeds that seem to kind of not make it all the way, get cut off before getting the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 in the last few years, but are still on that East Coast or West Coast time zone. His dad can still come to games. His dad can still be involved, but he can kind of be a little bit farther away. At home, which is the issue with the UCLA or USC.
Yeah, see, I want to take an opposite approach to this. I think that both of you have great ideas, which is why you're both on the show. And I think it's great that you all have such a great thing. But I think it would be better for him to get away from the West Coast and get away from all that pressure, which is why I think he should go to Duquesne. See, said it right the second time. Duquesne and or Syracuse or I really do like the Kentucky thing. But I definitely think that, the whole DeJuan Blair's son thing also being a PG and probably him not wanting I think for him, it'd be better if he went to a program that's balanced. And I don't think that there's too many of those. You mentioned some, the UConns, the Illinois, the Houstons of the world. Obviously, Houston will be looking for a new point guard. So that probably makes sense for him if he went there. But I think it'd be better for him. Not that I'm trying to get him away from his family, but I think it would be better for him to not be near all of that. I'm not saying that the pressure got to him. Obviously, he's LeBron James' son. He's always going to be LeBron James' son, whether he's on the West Coast or the East Coast. But I just think it'd be better for him if he's somewhere that could dedicate time to him. And I'm not saying that didn't happen at USC, but when you have, I think he had a teammate that was like another top 3 pick at USC. When you have that, I think it'd be better for him to go to a program like you said, Josh, and you did too, Morgan, that's established, that is competing. I just think that you want to be a part of the best basketball conference. It doesn't have to be Syracuse. Again, I'm biased, but he can go to the ACC. He can go to the Big East. Heck, if he really wants to go somewhere where he can win and compete, I know Morgan's going to be upset with me when I say this, but he can go to Nova, he can go to Seton Hall, he can go and compete in either one of the best basketball conferences in the country, which is ACC and or the Big East. But he could also go to Stanford if he wanted to stay in California and get all that pick. He can't go to Cal. He can go to Stanford. And
There'll be a lot of options. There should be a lot of options for him. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. All right, so next up, Haley Van Lith. So the big thing here is this is being reported by Talia Goodman and another LSU reporter, that Haley Van Lith is reportedly entering the transfer portal. So what's our reaction to this, guys? I think we have the first dominoes to fall. Morgan, you want to lead us off with this?
I think she came to LSU to win a championship. She got a whole bunch of drama, and I just think it was necessarily what she was looking for. I think she really does like her teammates. I don't think there's any question on that. I think that she has stood up for and been an amazing advocate for Angel and for Flage, and has done everything that she can for this team. I just think that her and Kim didn't necessarily get along. I think she really wants to win, and I think that she's looking to go somewhere else. I personally would love her to come to UConn, but you know,
Yeah,
just,
if she's serious about a WNBA career.
huh?
If she's serious about a WNBA career, like why not go to UConn?
Right? I think she fits into UConn. She's a great passer. She is a good defender, which maybe is why you could justify Kim putting her on Caitlin Clark for an entire game, and she apparently was sick and needed IV fluids. But, you know, besides that, I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably the right move for her. I think that LSU has some figuring out to do, I would say, in the nicest way possible. But they got some shit to figure out. And I think that Haley doesn't have time to sit there and be involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. Agreed. We saw the, I'm not an insider. I don't know, for sure what, if there's anything going on there or if there was anything going on there. It did look like, I watched the game against Iowa, as probably most of you did. And it looked like there was something off. It looked like there was something off between the teammates. And I don't know if it was shot making or shot selection or, I saw a couple of times where, LSU was settling for shots and not moving the ball. So that could have been a reason for this, could have been a team aspect, could have been a coach aspect. I have no idea. It seemed like, from what I saw on the selection show, when Van Lith and Mulkey, they shared a little bit of a moment there when they saw that Van Lith's former team, Louisville, was in their region. Obviously, they didn't play them. But there seemed like there was something going on. Hopefully, Haley Van Lith has talent, that is for sure. So hopefully she finds a place where she can maximize that talent and she could get the most out of her career, and hopefully it could propel her into a WNBA career. That would be, I think, the goal here for her.
I'm in agreement with both of you. I think it's a good move. Obviously, again, none of us are insiders. No, all three of us do not live in Louisiana. We do not. We are not on LSU's campus, so we don't know all the inside stuff of what's going on. We only know the stuff that makes it up to the Northeast. So, but yeah, it does seem like, and as evidenced by the transfer, that there is something going on there. As the old saying goes, where there's smoke, there's fire. So, and obviously something happened that's making her want to transfer. And I think I totally agree with Morgan that she should go to UConn if that's what she wants to do. But I also think if she wants to go to the NBA, she has a perfect coach not far from LSU that would be great. And if she really wants to, I'm not saying she does. I'm not trying to get into Emmanuel Acho territory here where I'm calling her a villain. But just if she wants to, WrestleMania is here. So if she wants to go heel, she can totally just go right across state lines to South Carolina and work with the ultimate point guard, Dawn Staley, and have a duo with Moesha Fawali, who's another up-and-coming player. And Dawn Staley gets them ready to play. So, I think going to shout out to Pot to Norrisville, Pennsylvania, either going to be coached by Gino Auriemma or going to be coached by Dawn Staley, Philadelphia's own, would be a great move for her. And again, we don't know anything. I'm just saying what I think would be great for her. Obviously, UConn would be great too, but I don't know if the fit's necessarily there because I think she plays either the 2 or the 1, and you already have Paige there. You're definitely going to have Ozzy. Does Ozzy move to the bench? Does she try to become a 3, or does Haley become a 3? I think that's a little bit difficult. But in South Carolina, like Camila Cardoso is leaving. Obviously, she's declared for the draft. Other than Full Wiley, who's probably more of a 2 than a 1. I think there's more. I think it's more logical for her if she wants to be somebody's point guard, which it seems like she does, to go to South Carolina. But UConn could work. It's just that they have to figure out what that looks like, what a lineup of Ozzie Fudd, Paige Beckers, and Haley Van Lith looks like. But I think that could work. I think going to Stanford could work for her too. Tara Vanderveer always gets them ready to play too. Obviously, they're losing Cameron Brink, so there's some room there for her if she wants to be a star. And again, we don't know. I don't know Haley Van Lith personally. I'm not saying she does want to be a star, but those are 3 really good programs right there: Stanford, South Carolina, and UConn. Didn't even mention UCLA. Which I think she would be great for, especially if she wants to go somewhere. I just can't see the fit in UConn unless Paige is leaving or Ozzy's leaving. I don't really see it, and I think they have Morgan. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but don't they have another like top 5-star PG or SG coming in this year along with Ozzy and Paige? So like I think they got some things to figure out if she goes there. But yeah, if there's nothing else, you guys got anything else to add to that? Nope. All right, moving right along then. The continuing. So how is that going to affect the future of the LSU Tigers women's basketball team? I can start here. I think that Kim Mulkey has a task. Everybody who watches this show knows I love nothing more than some Kim Mulkey slander. But I think she has her work cut out for her. I think this is going to be the test. I think this is going to be her biggest test since Brittany Griner left Baylor, because she's losing Angel Reese, she's losing Haley Van Lith. All she'll really have is going to be all she's really going to have here is going to be Flau'jae, and Flau'jae is a good player. Okay, you cut off, so I didn't hear that.
The Flau'jae leaves?
Well, look, if Flau'jae leaves, then she has even more work cut out for her, because I don't think they really have a strong freshman class coming in. But I think that if Flau'jae stays, and we know that Kim Mulkey is a transfer portal worker. That's how she won a championship last year. So I think that she can get people to transfer in. There's a star spot open now with Angel Reese going to the WNBA, and we'll get to that very, very soon. But I think that this puts them squarely, I think, probably like 5th or 6th in the SEC. Obviously, South Carolina is the king or the queens of the SEC. But I think that Kim has her work cut out for her, and she's definitely going to have to hit that transfer portal hard to get a team and build a team around Flau'jae, if Flau'jae stays. We don't know if she'll stay or not, but I believe she'll stay because she still has some work to do herself with development and actually having like a good and consistent. That was the problem with LSU this year. I dived into this last week when I said that outside of Angel Reese, they really didn't have anything, and they proved me right. They shouldn't have beat UCLA. UCLA kind of folded at the end with all that defensive pressure. But they proved me right. Like once Angel Reese went down with that semi-ankle injury, this is what happened to LSU. They did this. Like once Angel Reese went down, like Haley Van Lith was sick, so she has an excuse. But everybody else on that team, Flau'jae not having a game outside of the paint and rebounding and defense is kind of a knock on her, which is why I think she needs to get in the gym and get a jump shot, a more consistent jump shot. especially because if she doesn't leave, it's going to be all on her. So they need to figure that one out. Kim Mulkey has to hit the transfer portal and get a team, because right now, to me, I think they're fifth or sixth in the SEC right now, and that's being generous because we haven't, obviously, next year, this upcoming season hasn't happened yet. I'm just being generous and out of respect for them.
Yeah, I think that kind of like what I said with why I think Haley is leaving, a big part of it is I think that they're kind of in a rebuild. They had a lot of drama this year. They're losing their by far star player in Angel. And yeah, I think that there's a lot of rebuilding and a lot of mending that needs to happen down at LSU. I think that they're a little bit broken, and I'm not sure what they need, but and you know, maybe it's not Kim there, and you know, I don't regardless of what Kim is as a person, she is a good coach, and her players a lot of the time seem to respect her, I guess. But you know, I think that there's some fixing that needs to happen down there.
Yeah, I think this is the perfect time for a come to Jesus moment for them, that they have to figure this out now without Angel Reese there. And if you have nothing else to add, we can move right along to the other thing. You know, let me just say this. You know, we've entered upside down Stranger Things territory, where I'm over here actually doing something that Morgan probably never thought I would do, agreeing with Kim Mulkey. Somebody get me out of here, bro. Like, I'm agreeing with Kim Mulkey. First and foremost, that Washington Post story, because she hyped it up, had me being so mad that she got so worked up over this. So the rumor is, you know, again, this is nothing reported. I don't know Kim Mulkey. I have no inside sources here, but the rumor is that she was upset because the Washington Post reporter contacted her estranged father. Now, I don't want to get into why they are estranged. It's well documented what Kim Mulkey is as a person, as Morgan alluded to, so you can make your own judgments. I am not going to make a judgment there because I don't want to make a judgment on parent and kid relationships are complicated, and I'm not going to make a judgment on that. I'm going to stay out of that one. But I thought she overhyped the Washington Post story. I think the Washington Post story wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
Expose on her. You know what I mean?
Like,
it really wasn't a slam piece or a hit piece. It was more of an expose.
Yeah, and I don't think it told me anything that I didn't know. I think, like, the thing that I was most shocked about is that Kim Mulkey is who I thought she was. Like, she had a player, I believe this was at Baylor. Morgan and Josh can correct me if they're wrong. If any of y'all read on the Washington Post, you probably both know where I'm going. Where she openly told this player that, hey, I'm going to butcher the quote, but essentially she told this player who was gay that it looks bad on the team because it's Baylor University. For those that don't know, Baylor is a private Christian school, and they don't hide it. I'm not going to make a judgment on what the LGBTQ plus community goes through at Baylor, because I didn't go to Baylor. I do have friends that went to Baylor. I did not know anything that went on at Baylor. I just know what's reported in the story from this player's perspective, that Kim Mulkey told her to basically hide her personality and identity because it looked bad on the team, that she was out here, dating girls, I guess. And so, like, I didn't like that, but it just confirmed what I always thought about Kim Mulkey. So I'm just going to leave that alone, that she could be a better person. I'm also Christian. I don't make no secret about that too. But like, I think that she could benefit from being a better person. And I think that, like, if you read that Washington Post story, you were not surprised. The LA Times piece, though, is where I'm upset, because I have to agree with Kim Mulkey on that they basically did go into too much of a racial territory there when they did that LSU UCLA preview, calling them words that you would only really know if you have family in the South, like dirty debutante, That's not that's not really a word that you hear if you're in the Northeast or the West Coast. That's generally something that's only associated with the South. I have a mother from Arkansas, so I have heard that word a lot, and the racial connotations with that word as a debutante. So for those of you that don't know, this goes back to all them little balls that you hear about where they dress up kind of like the Kentucky Derby. And a dirty debutante is somebody who doesn't know how to dress, somebody that doesn't know how to do that style for the cotillion balls and stuff like that. And it had very negative racial connotations. Anybody from down south that knows this and wants to correct me if I done butchered it, I believe I have it right. I will take that criticism. But I want to be fair. That's what for those
in the South is being a deb or a pre-deb. Cotillion is the generically a white rich family. It would be introducing their daughter to society and saying that she's now available to marry and date, and it's a ball. They wear white, show purity, and it's a big and it's generically done down south. You take classes beforehand on manner, how to ballroom dance and wear gloves, and so that you were correct in thinking in your thought process on that. Yes.
Yeah. So now I have to agree with Kim Mulkey that it was a terrible article, and to the reporter's credit, he did apologize, said he has to do better. But I just don't understand how you could report something like that on the team from the South and the team in UCLA with all mostly black players, and it didn't come to your mind that, hey, maybe I shouldn't use debutante here, So obviously because it's it was kind of a thing, and it kind of marred a really good game. But I just want to say that I have to agree with Kim Mulkey, and I hope that reporter does better. I think that Kim Mulkey is a hard person to cover from the outside looking in. And maybe we need to reach out to some LSU reporters to find out how they deal with that. But I have to agree that was a bad thing, but I think that she overreacted. The LA Times story, I think she reacted very right to. She overreacted to that Washington Post story, and I think made it a bigger distraction than it should have been.
Yeah.
What about you, Morgan?
No, I agree. I think everything you said, it was 100% correct. I agree. She reacted the correct story and overreacted to the Washington Post.
Yeah. Josh, you have anything to add on that one? Are you good?
Yeah, that's. I think you guys both hit it on the nail there. As someone that is a journalist and that graduated from communications school, and a very prominent one, I say that always we have to do better, and we have to communicate more effectively. So I'm a pro journalist. I support journalism, and but we have to do it in a responsible way. So that's all I got on that.
All right, cool. All right, so we can skip that one because we just did this one. But Angel Reese declaring for the WNBA draft. Morgan, your reaction to this?
I'm so happy for her. I think she's a boss. She's just a beast on the floor. I'm absolutely stoked for her. I really and truly am. I cannot wait to see what she does. I think she's gonna absolutely thrive in the I'm just happy for her. I'm happy that she's gonna get out of the college world, and not that the WNBA is going to be easier per se, but I think that she hopefully will find a little bit more peace there.
Cool.
Angel Reese going to the draft is huge, and there was a lot of talk about how that Angel Reese might be coming back to college. A lot of talk about NIL and how much money she's getting. But at the end of the day, I think this is the best decision for her. She's an absolute force on the basketball court. So I have no doubt in my mind that she is going to be a great WNBA player. and I think she's going to dominate. I think she's going to. Hopefully, she wins some championships. Hopefully, she can be a leader as a young player. I fully expect her to be a top 5, top 10 pick.
Yeah, I am in agreement with both of you. I think it's great for her. Straight out of Baltimore, Maryland. As Morgan has said on shows before, related to one of her favorite basketball players, Jordan Hawkins, they're cousins. And I believe her brother also plays. I don't think he plays at LSU. I think he plays in Maryland, right? So yeah. So I'm very happy for her and for her family. To me, as an old head b-ball, she compares very favorably to me to, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I say this, but to this player, because I love her. She compares very favorably to me to Lisa Leslie. She needs to obviously in today's WNBA, Lisa Leslie was more of a defensive force. She had that, I call it, she was effective from Tim Duncan range, which is that free throw line in type of range, and I think that she's going to be great in the WNBA. I think she'll need to. The one knock on her game for me, and I am not a scout, is that I think that she could be better, have a better perimeter game. She's more of a paint presence and a rebounder. So I think that if she wants to be the best player she can be in the game, that she needs to get a jump shot. I'm not saying she needs to get a 3-pointer. I feel like I'm saying the same thing about. So I said the same thing about Ben Simmons. Not a 3-pointer, but just a perimeter shot, like a 2-pointer, really good 2-pointer. And I think that will go very, very far for her. And then just to wrap this one up, I can do this. But what's the impact I think Reese has had on women's basketball in LSU is that she's given us another star player, right? Because for a while it was Caitlin Clark, it was Paige Beckers, it was a bunch of other stars in this thing, but she rose up there to even be competing. Now, obviously, for a lot of us, she came to fame because she did the John Cena to Caitlin Clark, and people are like, "Who is this person doing this to Caitlin Clark?" But I'm always pro. All of us here are pro journalists, but I'm always pro player empowerment. I'm pro players being themselves, players being their personality, as long as they're not doing anything illegal. And so I think that Angel Reese just diving into her personality, diving and personifying Bayou Barbie, diving into her Baltimore, Maryland roots was really good in a place that needed that star power. Hadn't seen that star power since Shaquille O'Neal. Obviously, Ben Simmons was there too. I'm not trying to make any Sixers and Nets fans happy. I know that's my second Ben Simmons reference here. But, so I know some people are having PTSD right now because I keep saying Ben Simmons. But, I think that she was a star. She started her role. She's a superstar. And like Josh said, she's going to make bank, and Morgan said this too. She's going to make bank and do very, very well for whatever team drafts her in the WNBA. And that LSU,
All-Americans. She left her mark on the game. 3 straight All-Americans, All-American nods. She definitely left her mark on the women's game. And you mentioned that, that final, the championship run last year. She is part of the reason why women's college basketball and women's basketball in general has been elevated and is getting the viewership that it deserves. So she's part of the reason, and she's going to do the same thing in the WNBA.
Mm-hmm. Morgan?
Yeah, I'm so happy for her. I like Josh said, she has left a legacy there. She has left a legacy of Bayou Barbie, fun but tough. Somebody who, and I always love this with women's sports, is it somebody who can, a lot of female athletes get get put in a box of you can't be both feminine and beautiful and an athlete. And I love that the princess, the Bayou Barbie, the way that she combines both together, and she's unapologetically herself, I think is really beautiful, and something that a lot of young athletes, specifically African American athletes, can follow and can bring to the court, and it's amazing that there are people at home that are like, I can't my false eyelashes and have my hair done and go and kick ass butt on the court, and I think that's amazing. And she's definitely left a legacy, and she really good things in the WNBA.
Cool. Morgan, you want to take this next one? Update on what we talked about last week?
Yeah. So we mentioned this last week that there was an incident up at the University of Utah. At the university up in Idaho against the University of Utah at the first 2 rounds of the tournament. And we don't have to go kind of into the details because they're horrible and nasty. But we had talked that the FBI and that local police detectives were investigating the story. And it has now shown that there is video evidence that racial slurs were used. I believe they said more than once. They were able to see that. And not that that's good that they were, but it's good that they're able to find this on video, and hopefully some of these players will be able to get a little bit of closure on this. The people that are responsible will be prosecuted to the highest level of the law.
Yeah. And like we said, we're pro journalism here, so we're happy that this is happening. Not that it happened at all, but that, justice, it seems, is coming. The wheels of justice turn slow, so we will keep you guys updated. Like I said, Morgan and I went in on this last week. I don't know if Josh has any thoughts about it, but if he does not, then we can move on to our next one. Unless you do, Josh, do you have any thoughts on this?
The only thing I need to really say about this is that this is a terrible, terrible incident, and this has no part in sports. Sports are supposed to bring people together. It's not supposed to divide anybody, and in any walk of life, in any profession, this is unacceptable, and it will always be unacceptable.
Yeah. All right, amen. And now we're gonna have Josh. As Josh comes back and gets his own segment, so we're gonna introduce Josh around the diamond. Go ahead, Josh.
Oh wow, I didn't know this is something that's just I'm just learning about. But no. This is my first love. Baseball, the sport of baseball was my first love in life. That was like what I wasn't very good as a sports player, but baseball was my calling card. It's great to have MLB back. Opening week, opening day was last week. I have a lot of gripes on that. How is there no day games on MLB opening day? That to me is ridiculous. There was only one scheduled 1:00 game on opening day, and that was the Mets, and that got rained out. So not sure what Rob Manfred was thinking there. They did the opening 2 games in South Korea, and while I think it's a great thing that MLB is trying to globalize and get more out there. They're doing a series in London again this year. There's tradition when it comes to baseball, and we should be having the first games be the first pitch should be at 1:00 on opening day. I'm fine with the international series, but they can happen in the season. It doesn't have to happen on opening day. But just really from what I've seen, there's not really much to talk about when it comes to MLB right now. We've only gone through 6 games, 2 series. But there's 2 things that are absolutely have to hit on here, and that is the 2 local teams from my standpoint here in New York City. So what a start the Yankees have gotten off to. Juan Soto is making an absolute difference right now. He is
the most fun player. I'm a Nationals fan, and I'm so happy for him. He's electric. He's an amazing person. He's so fun, and I'm so excited to see him excelling in New York. Continue.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah. No, you hit it right on the head there. That's a great point, and it looks like he's having a great time. which is not like what I wanted to see because I want him to sign with the Mets this coming off season. I don't want him to stay with the Yankees, obviously, but great start for the Yankees. They couldn't have asked for a better start here. Unfortunately, they did lose Jonathan Loaisiga this morning to a flexor strain. That's going to be a big hit on their bullpen, but I don't think it's going to be that much of or it won't hurt them as much. I still think the Yankees will be fine. But Crosstown, speaking of a team that's not fine, the Mets not looking good to start this season. They got their first win yesterday, which was probably the luckiest win ever. They did not deserve to win that game. They don't deserve to win any games right now. We have me and my friends here in New York, we got a Mets chat, and we were, not happy at all with this start. I mean, the Mets, we thought the pitching was going to be rough, but the lineup has been brutal for this team. And you start off with Francisco Lindor, who does not get off to a good start ever since he's been a part of the Mets. Right now he's batting .042, which is the worst on the team, not including the players that haven't gotten a hit this year. You also have Brandon Nimmo who's hitting .048. Jeff McNeil I'm very disappointed in. He's supposed to be a guy that gets base hits. Same with Brandon Nimmo. McNeil is hitting .067. Not a good start for this Mets team. They need to pick it up. Mendoza yesterday is making questionable decisions, bunting with Brett Beatty, and that at-bat turning into a nightmare. The Mets got very lucky yesterday. They didn't deserve to win. They should be They should be winless right now. The Marlins are the only winless team in MLB right now, but the Mets should definitely be winless right now. They didn't deserve it all to win yesterday. This is going to be a brutal year for us Mets fans. We need JD Martinez to get into the lineup ASAP, as soon as possible. But yeah, that was Josh's Around the Diamond, presented by Josh Leeper.
Good job, man. Hey, you wanted to talk baseball. There you go. You got your own segment. So yeah, great job, man. Great first. I really do enjoy, like I said, putting people. I've said this before on the show. We want to be the spot where you can come and get your sports. Morgan and I aren't really. I'll just speak for me. I know we talked about this last week. That neither one of us are like big baseball guys, so it's good to have people that are huge baseball fans to like help us out here with the baseball coverage.
Happy to do so.
Yeah, the Phillies aren't doing well either. But it's like you said.
I still think though, Kylan, they got a shot to win the World Series, and that's all that you want to ask for at the end of the day.
Okay, well, hope springs eternal. But yeah, so like neither one of our teams. How are the Nationals doing, Morgan?
They're fine, not good. They're just
That's actually a perfect way of putting it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where we are. None of our teams are good at the moment, but like we said, it's 6 of 165. So we'll see. So
for Juan Soto, I'm like, I like him, and I'm rooting for him. So that's where I'm at right now.
What about Bryce? You're not rooting for Bryce?
Bryce Harper. He's the worst.
All right, so Andrew Marchand. Good.
I'll never forget when he did his first press conference in Philly, and he was like, "We're gonna bring a World Series back to Washington." And was like, "I mean Philadelphia," and I was like, "You're an idiot."
Oh man. So Andrew Marchand is reporting that a bunch of college football executives have proposed a CFB Super League. So for those of you that are Premier League fans, you probably know how the Super League works. It works just like that. They would have no conferences, 70-plus teams, and relegation. So to me, I'm actually excited about this, not just because, as Morgan has said in these over 30 weeks, I'm a maximum, not outside of being a journalist. When I'm not doing that, I also root for maximum chaos. So I think this would be great for the chaotic part of this because, like, having 70 teams, the SEC and Big Ten are going to be mad because then they won't have supremacy to tell everybody else what they're going to do. The TV people will be mad because they won't have any dictation over what the big games are. I'm all for it, man. Maximum chaos. This is where it's headed anyway. You know, right now you have the two super conferences anyway, which is the Big Ten and the SEC, powered by NBC. Big Ten being powered by NBC, Fox, and CBS. SEC basically being powered by ESPN. And then you have everybody else. No disrespect to my alma mater's conference of the ACC, but that's just where it is. You know, it's I think this is where it's headed. Honestly, I think everybody's going to end up being a Notre Dame and being, at least in college football, independent, because I think that eventually these conferences will be useless, because I think the NCAA will be declared will have half its power, as it seems it's trending anyway. They're losing more and more power. So I think it's going to end up being the Wild Wild West anyway, and that people will be bidding very, very high through NIL on these talents in multiple regions.
Yeah, and so you mentioned Syracuse, Kylan. You know, Ken Severud, actually, Syracuse chancellor, he's one of those executives, if you want to call it, chancellors, that are trying to build this. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's a good thing. I think it just shows that there is a lot of uncertainty in college sports. There seems to be no leadership in college sports. And I don't think it would be a good idea if these chancellors and presidents are going to be the ones that are controlling it. You know, I've seen seven 10-team divisions of the top 70 programs. You know, while it sounds like, you know, it could be good, it just shows that there is a glaring need for leadership and need for sustainability within college sports, because you're not seeing that right now.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Josh. I go back and forth. I think there are things about it that would be really good, for sure.
The excitement, the presentation.
Like I have kind of agreed with that, but the problem is that the NCAA right now has no leadership, and they have no idea what they need to be in charge of, I guess, if that makes sense. And so they're like, people keep throwing these out there. I don't know how much they're working, and then they go back and forth. And so I just don't really know, like, what is the best thing, I guess, for them to be doing. I think we need to start with this 12-team playoff, right? Like, let's start here. Let's see how this goes. If this goes well, then maybe I think we can talk about something a little bit bigger. But right now, I think moving in the right direction, and I think that that's a smart way to be moving. I think that this would be a crazy leap to just go to. So I think that let's try what we have, and that, or not try what we have, try this new format that we have for the next couple of years, and then see where we need to go after that.
Yeah, I agree.
Agreed.
Yeah, so moving right along, then we will have our reacts to the men's and women's Elite Eight, and I will let the person with the most teams still in, because she has two. Go ahead, and glorify the goodness of our Lord and Savior, UConn Huskies.
I told everyone. I love this team. I'm obsessed with this team. UConn is so fun to watch. Dan Hurley is so fun to watch. And I'm obsessed with the fact that NCAA, even though they are trying to make UConn not win, they just can't do it. And for so many reasons, there's just so many things that UConn can stop. They, and I love that they're like, oh, everyone just keeps having bad games when they play UConn. I'm like, no, you don't maybe want to give UConn credit and their defensive abilities and their offensive abilities. And like, there's a reason that Ken Pom has them rated as the number 1 offense and like the number 5 defense. They, it's not that Shannon had a bad game. He did have a not great game, but that was because Castle was guarding him, and Castle is a beast on defense. So I think that I understand that you can't just be like, oh, they're going to win it all, because I mean, it's a single elimination game. Anything can happen. Of course, Alabama, if they get hot and shoot all of their threes, of course, there's a chance that they can beat UConn. I just, it's been really fun. I'm just happy for this team. I'm happy that they got back to the Final Four. The game was a blowout. It was awesome. 30-0 run. Insane. It's just crazy. Against the number 2 offense in the country was awesome and very fun to watch. You know, on the women's side, that game was really, 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 it was a tough game. The UConn women are fighting for their lives out there. They have girls out on the court because more girls hurt than can play. And we're able to shoot down the number 2 scorer in the country. So that's awesome. They are a beast. They have been there before. I freaking love that Gino doesn't let them cut down the nets when they win the Final Four, or when they get to the Final Four, because he thinks it should be expected. So they're not the only people that cut down the nets is if they win the championship, which is just so Gino and very awesome.
That's that Philly in him, baby.
A madman in the best way possible. And then some of the other games, I mean, we've talked a lot about the LSU Iowa game. It was incredible. Just so fun. I really thought for a minute there that LSU was going to be able to pull it out, but they just ran out of steam. For the men's side, I mean, NC State is so fun to watch. I do not want to run into them in the championship. If I were UConn, I would much rather play Purdue, I think, just because of how hot they are. But I don't think there's a chance in hell that Burns can stop Edey. I just don't. All he does. I mean, I just don't think that there is a world where that happens. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong. I don't know. But Edey is their absolute entire team. And he's good. He's a good basketball player. I would love to see an Edey Clingan matchup. I think that would be really interesting. I would love to see how they call fouls on both of them because they're similar. Clingan gets fouls a lot less, I think, than Edey does. Edey just doesn't get called for it. So I'm intrigued to see how that game will shape out. What were the other games? NC State, Purdue,
Alabama, UConn.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama just hit every grade. They are so good at shooting from the outside. That is going to be the biggest thing for UConn. Do I think they have an answer for it? Probably. I'm assuming that Hurley has an answer and has game plans for them. But I think it is. It's going to be a different kind of team than they've seen before. They've been really good at defending the three throughout the year, but I think it's going to be harder. I think it's going to be one of the most challenging games just because it's going to be different. They don't, Alabama plays kind of a different style of basketball.
Yeah, you hit a lot of good points, Morgan. And going back to Zach Edey, he was just actually named the AP Player of the Year for the second straight year. Very well deserved. I mean, Zach Edey just changes the whole complexion of a basketball game. Yep. It is, and we've seen this on the I've seen it on the broadcast also. Working it and hearing what Gene Steratore has been saying. It is like so hard for a referee to call fouls and call a game with Zach Edey playing basketball because he's just so freaking tall. I mean, like there's no, and it would be so awesome if we saw a battle of the giants.
Yeah,
Clingan versus Edey. That would be awesome. And that honestly, that would be Edey's toughest test, and that would definitely draw some eyeballs there. So you hit it on the head there. NC State, I do think DJ Burns could be effective against Zach Edey, but I don't know. Keep doubting NC State.
The problem with DJ for me is that he fouls so much, and Edey gets many of those
That's
calls.
a great point.
Get in foul trouble so early.
That's a great point, Morgan. And you know, keep doubting NC State all you want, and you know they're just going to make you pay, because this is why we love college basketball. And you know, I'm sure he's not listening. Charlie Baker, the NCAA president, do not change the NCAA tournament. Don't change it. It is perfect the way it is. You don't need to make any adjustments to it. I know all these coaches from other teams are crying about, oh, we don't get in, we don't get in. That's why you play conference tournaments. That's why you have automatic bids if you win a conference tournament. You have to earn your way in. So don't make any changes. I mean, NC State, this is unbelievable. Like the most losses by a team to make the Final Four. NC State had 14 losses during the regular season. Could you imagine if they didn't if NC State didn't hit that shot to force overtime against Virginia in the ACC tournament? Like, look at that. That's a prime example right there of why college basketball postseason is the best postseason in sports. I'm not saying it because, you know, I'm biased, but this is why we need to just keep the tournament like it is. Going back to Purdue and Zach Edey, you guys remember the last 1 seed that lost to a 16 seed the year prior? What happened to them the next year? They won it all. It was Virginia in 2019. They lost to UMBC. What do they do the next year? They win the national championship. I honestly could see this happening. It's so hard to go back-to-back. I love UConn. I love Danny Hurley. But it's so hard to do that. And it feels like the only thing that might stop UConn is travel, with their plane being delayed a bunch of times.
So stupid. So stupid.
Yeah.
Well, like a big time program with all those alums, with all that money.
Well, the NCAA finds a way to mess something up again. So they pay for all the travel anyways. But I'll quickly mention with the women's tournament, Caitlin Clark continues to add to her legacy. I'm a huge Caitlin Clark fan. I'm not going to say she's the GOAT right now, but adding a national championship will definitely help. Caitlin Clark, at the end of the day, I will say she is going to be the greatest women's player to ever play the game. She's unbelievable. We talked about Angel Reese transcending the game. Caitlin Clark has been the catalyst for why women's college basketball is where it is right now. She's an absolute superstar, and she's going to continue that when she gets picked number 1 in the WNBA draft.
All right. I get to close this out, huh? So I honestly, we already hit to death on LSU Iowa. Like, I knew that game was going down as soon as Angel Reese went down. I mean, it's not like LSU really dominates you like they did last year. So, you know, I last week I said LSU wouldn't be UCLA. Again, UCLA folded under pressure like most teams often do against LSU. But I don't think it doesn't really matter. NC State on the women's side is going down to South Carolina. UConn, Iowa. This is a matchup that both Morgan and I predicted would happen. We thought it would be over the championship, but it's over the Final Four. And I don't think it really matters, because either way, whoever wins that game has to go. Caitlin Clark will have to have her Wilt Chamberlain moment. You know, she'll have to drop like 80 points to beat South Carolina. She'd have to get like what happened against LSU this time, where like she did everything to lose that game. If you really think about it, she was passing erratically, she was turning the ball over, she was missing shots, the pressure was getting to her, then she finally settled down. So like, you know, she's gonna have to drop like at least 40-45 points against UConn, has to get something from Stuelke and Gabby, and get like 18 to 16 points, just like what happened against LSU, in order for them to beat UConn. And then I think UConn would just have to get like, again, Paige Beckers, if she wins, would also have to go God mode to beat South Carolina. I don't think in both of these tournaments, it's like, you know, I'm going to just combine it with this right now and answer this question. Like, it's UConn and SC or the field. Like on the men's side, I think Josh made an excellent point. I could see Purdue winning, and I want to see that battle. I think Zach Edey because he's more the superstar than Klingon would put fouls on Klingon. And I don't think you really want. I think you and Dan would pull y'all hair out watching that and watching that man walk to the bench. So I think it's better for you if NC State wins, but I don't think NC State will win. I think the clock has hit midnight.
And it scares me. It's like you know, I don't know why NC State story scares me more than the Purdue coming back after losing, like trying to do what Virginia did. I think the scarier of the honestly, I mean, of all of the that are left, I think that South Carolina is just a monster beast that is going to be the hardest on either the men's or women's side for anybody.
Yeah, so I think the only thing that'll stop UConn from going back to back in men's and women's, something they haven't done since 07, 08, 09, is the second USC, South Carolina, and Purdue. But I think that, you know, if any team can find a way to solve Purdue and solve Zach Edey, it's the last ACC team in this thing, and the team that apparently broke Syracuse's men's basketball team. So like I'm going to do what Josh said don't do. I'm going to doubt NC State and say Purdue and South Carolina are going to put both of those teams out, and then I'm going to say that UConn wins on the men's side and then falls to South Carolina, because I think that last dance energy either ends tomorrow for Caitlin Clark or ends on Sunday. One way or another is probably better, since they're doing that whole ESPN Last Dance thing. For those of you that don't know, they're doing that. They're not calling it the Last Dance, but that's essentially what it is. I think Morgan brought this up last week. You know, I think it'll be better for them if she goes and loses to South Carolina, but I think it'll wind up being Paige Beckers is going to show Caitlin who the real superstar is. But I think it's going to be great. It's great for basketball to have Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark going at it, and I think that that's going to be a future WNBA finals very, very soon. So to our next one, because I think Josh has to leave, so we'll hit this now. So we had a shock. Morgan, this is your sports. I'm gonna let you introduce this one. We had a shock this week.
Yeah, we were actually live on the air when this broke. We've been talking about this for a little while. You know, Stefon Diggs sometimes doesn't help himself, and maybe he does. He has been complaining about everything that's gone on in Buffalo. It seems like for 3 seasons now. It seems like every offseason we're like, is he finally going to pull the trigger? Is he finally going to pull the trigger? Put out a tweet the other day, and I think that the Bills were just freaking done. They were like, we're done, and they traded him to Houston, and Houston is going to be a problem this year. They are going to be really, really, really good. They were really good last year, and it was CJ Stroud's first year and Will Anderson's first year. And now they have, not only do they have the powers they had before with CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, they now have Stefon Diggs. They are continuing to ramp up what they're doing, and they're going full force. They're going for it.
Yep. And this propels the Texans. I think they're the biggest threat to the Chiefs right now in the AFC. I think the Texans by far won this trade. And there was, you add Diggs to that this offense is potent. Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Morgan, you forgot to mention Joe Mixon at running back. I know he had a tough season last year. But with this, and you add this offensive line as well, this offensive line is one of the best in the league, if not the best. You got CJ Stroud, a budding superstar. I really do not see any weaknesses on this Texans offense. I expect Joe Mixon to step it up this year with this offensive line, like I mentioned. But another big thing that I'm taking away from this, there were multiple reports that the Texans wiped away 3 years off of Stefon Diggs' contract, and that Diggs is going to be a free agent after the 2024 season. I think that's a really good move by the Texans. And it's a good move for Diggs as well to go out there, prove that you're not, locker room cancer, prove that, you can go out there and do something you didn't do with Buffalo and maybe go make a Super Bowl, maybe win an AFC championship. But I think this is also a good move for the Texans. If things don't work out this year, you always have Nico Collins and Tank Dell in that receiver room. And obviously Stephon Diggs is a huge addition, but if he's not the answer, if he's not a guy that you can rely on during the season, then you cut ties with him and you move on. You tried. You really can't say you did something wrong here. There's no risk to this trade for the Texans. They gave up a second-round pick, but still, I think that this, again, propels them into the contendership, and props to Nick Caserio. I mean, he was under fire before last season. People were calling for his job because they couldn't find the quarterback and they couldn't find the guy to lead them into the playoffs. But he got a contract extension, and it's a well-deserved one. This is all props to him. He built this team, and the Texans, I think, it's very hard to make 3 Super Bowls in a row for the Kansas City Chiefs. We could be seeing the Houston Texans maybe lifting that Lombardi Trophy for the first time in their franchise's history.
I wish I shared the optimism of Morgan and Josh, but I've said this during the Super Bowl. I say, you know how it doesn't really matter what you do because you still have to go with God, as a famous wrestler once said. I think his name is CM Punk. Your arms are too short to box with God, and I think that is what you have right now. Like the God, as long as the God quarterback is in the AFC, it doesn't matter if it's Stephon Diggs, if it's Stephanie McMahon. It really doesn't matter who's on whatever team. If you're going up against Patrick Mahomes and you don't have a defense, you are going to get shredded. Like, I want to say, like, what I'll give the Texans is I always like a team going for it. I think it would have been better if they would have waited, but you got Joe Mixon, you got Tank Dell, you got Stephon Diggs now. But I don't think it matters because as long as Patrick Mahomes is in that conference, like it, unless he has a horrible day, the Chiefs, like, literally, like they just went through something that usually destroys teams. They lost L'Jarius Sneed to Tennessee. They lost him, and somehow still, even despite that, I still think they're going to get to the Super Bowl. I think that they are going to, still find some way to get to the Super Bowl. And I think that, what I will say about what I will say about Houston's move is it firmly puts them in the 3 spot for me. I won't be disrespectful and put them over the Ravens, but it puts them at number 3 for me. Like, they're top 3. They're over the Bills. They're over the Chargers. I think that, for me, they have a really good chance, as both Morgan and Josh mentioned. CJ Stroud will only make bigger jumps now with this amount of talent he has to, right? Like, right now, the biggest weakness is CJ Stroud. Like, if CJ Stroud doesn't have a sophomore slump, they should be in the AFC Championship game facing down with the Chiefs, probably in Kansas City, unless Houston just goes God mode and only loses like 1 game. So I really do think, though, that that it doesn't matter when you have the ultimate cheat code and the guy QB in the same conference as you. But I will say that, if nothing else, I'm going to be way more positive here and say, like, this puts the Texans, to me, squarely at number 3 in the division, in the conference. And I definitely think that if the Ravens fall off, then they can be number 2. I can't put them over Patrick Mahomes, though. You can't. The guy QB is still in the conference, so I can't do it. But I think this really is good for them.
It's very fair.
Yeah. So do we think the Texans going all in with Diggs and Stroud will help them? We said this, challenge the Chiefs. What y'all think?
I think it'll help them challenge them. I still, football is like March Madness. It's still one game. Nobody is invincible and unbeatable. And, I think that this gives them a better shot. Definitely their percentage points have gone up when they face them. I think that, if they played 100 times, I think the Chiefs would probably win 75% of them. But I'm not going to tell you that this won't help them win in a one-off game. I'm not going to. It's going to help them win in a one-off game.
Okay. I'm of the mindset that, like I said, arms are too short to box with God. But we haven't played a game yet. Maybe the Chiefs will fall off again and have a bigger fall off than they did before they won the Super Bowl this past season. So, but I think right now, like I said, it puts them in the third spot with the Chiefs and the Ravens. But it definitely makes them better than the Bills. Something that we didn't hit on, like Josh Allen is leaving. I'm going to be the first to report. I have no sources on this, but at 12:46 p.m. Eastern time, y'all can both quote me on this. Josh Allen will leave Buffalo in the next 2 years. If I don't know when his contract is up, I think it's this year, this upcoming season, but he is leaving. There's nothing there for him right now. Like when Dalton Knox is your best target and you lose both your wide receivers, Buffalo Bills, pick a quarterback this draft. Josh Allen is leaving.
Giants. Joe Shane. Joe Shane, where you at? We have the number 6 pick. Trade that to the Bills. Trade that to the Bills.
Y'all agree with me, right? We all think Josh Allen is leaving, right?
He has no choice. He has getting paid a boatload of money, and he's under a contract extension right now. I think he's in the 3rd or 4th year of a 6-year deal. But Josh Allen needs help. He definitely needs help. Is the Bills' contention window closed? I don't think so if you have Josh Allen. But I'm looking at them to maybe trade up in this draft and get a wide receiver.
They need to get a guy.
Marvin Harrison Jr., you are a Buffalo Bill.
It's a glaring need right now. You can't – I mean, I know that Josh Allen loves Khalil Shakir, and Khalil Shakir had a breaking out party last year. He's a good slot receiver, but he can't be your number one option, and neither can Dalton Kincaid. Dawson Knox had an injury-riddled season. He's been pretty injury-riddled, I think, his whole career, Dawson Knox. So, they need a receiver, and they need one bad. I'm fully expecting them to move up in this draft and get a wide receiver.
Yeah, you don't have to hear this from Mike Florio or Chris Sims. Let me just say this. Justin Herbert and Josh Allen are going to fall off this season because they have no help. So just expect that. Like I've already said, and my dad gets on me every time for being disrespectful of Josh Allen, but he was already my 3rd behind Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. So, what do you mean? Jalen Hurts did something that Josh Allen hasn't done, which is get to a Super Bowl.
Joe Burrow or Hurts is not in that conversation. Anyway, let's move on. Let's go.
He is. We're about to start a debate. All right, so the other big trade. So the Jets and the Eagles basically traded defensive ends. Hassan Reddick to the Jets. Our reaction, Josh, we'll start with you since this is the new. I know you're not a Jets fan, but this is the new biggest acquisition in New York sports right now. What's the thought here?
I think it's a good trade for the Jets. I think Hassan Reddick's time in Philly was definitely coming to an end. And I don't know if it was because of the money or if it was because of the fit in the locker room. I obviously saw some frustrations last year towards the end of the season when the Eagles had a really bad collapse.
Not to cut you off, but what it was is the money and that he was 30. Howie Roseman doesn't like 30-year-olds. That's been the walking secret here forever. He's 30.
I mean, the Jets look great on paper right now. I mean, and notice how I say on paper, because obviously anything can happen, injuries in the season. We'll see what happens, but I think this is a good addition to the Jets defense. A guy that can get to the quarterback. He's had double-digit sacks in the last 4 years, and that's, I think, what the Jets needed. They lost Bryce Huff to the Eagles. in free agency, a guy that stepped up big time for them last year. So I think that this was a really good trade for the Jets, and the Eagles will be fine. They'll be fine without him, but yeah, I think both sides are going to be fine after this.
I'll let Morgan close, but like I said, I think Hassan Reddick, he was great here, obviously from Camden, New Jersey. Great guy, great met him a couple of times, great guy. And I think this is more about the evaluation of, I don't think the Howie Roseman thought that, like, he's a great player. Unfortunately, and this is an unwritten rule, he's 30. Here in Philadelphia, that means that Howie Roseman will look to trade you because he thinks your best time is behind you. And we'll see if he's right or wrong. But I just think that this means that there's going to be a lot more pressure on Jalen Carter. Fletcher Cox is gone now. Hassan Reddick is gone now. So that number 1 pick that they spent last year is going to be big on him. He's going to be asked to be the defensive record, be the Fletcher Cox, be the Hassan Reddick on the team. And wreck. And I think he will rise to the occasion. So I think Hassan Reddick will do well in New York, with Morgan's least favorite quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. And I think that Hassan Reddick will help them win games. I also think that he will help them win games, and Aaron Rodgers will lose them those games. So, but I think on paper, the Jets look like they are primed to compete. Just by default, to me, we'll get into this later on when we're looking for content on our predictions for each division. But right now, to me, with my prediction just now that the Bills are going to fall off, I think the Jets are in prime position to win their first AFC East in a while. So, Morgan, I'm going to let you close this one.
No, I think everything you said was really smart. I think that he's a great addition for them, something that they needed, something that Aaron Rodgers needed. And I agree with you on a lot of moves right now, and so I can definitely see this being the year the Jets break.
All right.
That's coming from a Giants fan, so.
Ooh, yeah. All right, so one last thing in big New York news. Julius Randle having season-ending shoulder surgery. What's the reaction there? Josh, our resident Knicks fan.
Yeah. So obviously this hurts. Very emotional. Stephen A. Smith was very emotional yesterday. I think it was a little too emotional, but that's not really, the best Knick fan out there.
Stephen A. Smith emotional? Nah, you don't say.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I don't think this was a really big surprise, because it's from all the reports out there, and he wasn't making much progress. He wasn't taking contact. He actually said yesterday to Chris Haynes that he tried to take contact but ended up re-injuring the shoulder. And yeah, I think it's a good decision to get the surgery. And just knowing that he attempted to make the comeback and he saw how good this team is, and he wanted to be out there, but at the end of the day, it's better for his health. And hopefully, next season, I also heard that, it could have, if he returned to the court, there could have been permanent damage if he would have re-injured it. So, I think that this Knicks team it obviously hurts. Randall, I will say, wasn't the best playoff player last season, but I still think they're fine. Let's get OG Anunoby back. They're 15-2 in the line with him in the lineup. They clearly know how to win with him. He's a Tom Thibodeau player. That should be their top priority this offseason, is to re-sign him and Isaiah Hartenstein. But yeah, let's get OG Anunoby back. Let's, if he doesn't come back in the regular season, I'm fine with it. Once we get him back in the playoffs, I think that then this Knicks team could win a playoff series or two, even without Randall. They've been close to 500 without Randall. I know it's not the best of records, but last night was an indication that this team can rally together. And they were down 21 in the second quarter last night. They ended up coming back and winning the game. The Garden was rocking last night. I wish I was there. Hopefully, I can get to a playoff game. But I still think the Knicks will be fine. I really do. And I'm not going to say they're going to be an NBA Finals team, but I'm saying they can win a playoff series or two. What do you guys think?
I think the Knicks can at least get to the second round. I'll say that. More than likely, they'll probably play the Magic right now if everything still stands. I think it's in their best interest to avoid the 76ers and the Celtics. So I think that the Knicks, if they do that and they wound up staying where they are and either facing the Bucks or the obviously in my head canon and what I think is likely to happen, especially right now as the Sixers are climbing up, is that the Sixers will get to the 6th seed and do everybody a favor and put Cleveland out of their misery. So Donovan Mitchell can do what he wants to do and apparently lose in New York. But I think that I think the Knicks right now, it depends. Can they get knocked off by the Magic because the Magic out defends and out young? Can the Knicks be out youthed and outplayed by the Magic? Sure, the Magic are one of the biggest surprise teams ever this year. So, but I think the Knicks should be able to beat them. I think Jalen Brunson will be the difference there. Morgan?
Yeah, I agree with everything that you guys said. I don't follow NBA nearly as much as you guys do, but it's always sad when somebody's season ends. But I think they're doing fine. I think that it would have helped to have him back, but I don't think that it's going to be completely detrimental to the season.
Yeah, so unfortunately, and this is why we had to do some jumping around more. Josh has to go, but we thank you so much, Josh, for joining us, and we will see you next time. Any closing thoughts? Where can the people find you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at jleeper, Liepper. No, it's a pleasure to join you guys again, and looking forward to the next time. And Kylan, I know you guys are going to talk Sixers, but you guys got Embiid back. That's a good sign. So hopefully you guys can make a run as well. But yeah, no, thank you guys so much for inviting me back, and have a good rest of the show.
All right, you do the same, man. Have a good day. Thank you so much. All right, so before we hit the Sixers, let's do the other big topic that happened in football. Rashee Rice's hit and run. For those of you that don't know, Rashee Rice is apparently in Dallas, Texas, I believe, right, Morgan? He was in a. They're not saying it's a drag race, but a drag race. This happens a lot down south. Jalen Carter got into this too. A drag race. He was racing a Corvette, I believe, and he wound up. I don't know if he hit somebody or was the Corvette, but he wound up running somebody over, and somebody wound up running somebody over and killing them. Hit and runs. This happens all the time in all cities and towns. This post pandemic, it seems like every time I'm watching the news, there's some hit and run of somebody like hitting somebody and running, right? But it's unfortunate. But I'm gonna let Morgan start us off on her reaction to this.
But it was a Lamborghini. I don't know that anybody was killed. I thought that there were no injuries, no serious injuries.
Okay, well,
I could have been. I'm just double checking.
Well, I know it was a hit and run. I don't think it was deadly. I think you're right. I was just saying, like, overall, there's been some deadly hit and runs.
They were seemingly racing on the highway, and the reason that this is kind of crazy is because we actually had footage of it.
Oh, wow.
Driving behind that. I don't know if it was a Tesla or something that has those cameras that are all around the car. Uber driver or something. A lot of those cars have them, and they got the whole thing on camera. And we see Rashee Rice getting out. See the scene. Did end up turning himself in a little bit later. Rice was actually leading the Lamborghini, so it wasn't even his. So there's that whole issue. And the Lamborghini company did say that was supposed to be driving it. So either way, we have some issues going on there. I thank God that nobody was seriously injured, which is, but Rice did take to Instagram and said that he was taking full responsibility and that he is, his heart goes out to everybody, that he's trying to make it up. And he said that he'll do everything in his power to bring their life back to normal as possible in terms of injuries and property damage. So, I just don't know why people are stupid and they do things like this. You just had a breakout year. You just won the Super Bowl. Like, why are you getting yourself involved in stuff like this? It just sucks. And I wish that players would take more responsibility for things like this. And I understand he's taking responsibility for it after the fact, but that doesn't help the fact that it happened.
Yeah, I agree. Now he didn't hit him, right? He wasn't the person that hit him. He was in the, like you said, he was in the Lamborghini, but I thought it was the Corvette that hit the person, right?
I don't. It's like super murky.
Right. Right. Well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I share your sentiment. I don't understand why these football players, especially during the off season, get into stupidity. I mean, it's often that we'll see like, some of them with guns, some of them doing stuff, getting with drugs and everything else. I just wish that we could have a spring and a summer that's not marred by a football player making dumb decisions.
Yeah.
And hopefully the good thing for Rashee Rice is no one died here, as often happens in these hit and run situations. So that's a good thing. He has a chance to restore his name. I don't know if he's from Dallas and that's why he was there. But, I hope that, he makes better decisions. Again, like I said, Jalen Carter got into one of these two drag races. It seems to be drag races do happen in the Northeast, but specifically seems like it's a Southern thing a lot of the times. We hear about this. It's always happening down South. More open roads down there, I guess. But I just wish that, and I hope Rashee Rice does what he says. He seems to be a stand-up guy. I just wish that, you guys have millions of dollars. Take an Uber, do something else, drive responsibly. You don't need to do drag races because ultimately what happens is you embarrass yourself, you embarrass your franchise, you embarrass the families. Now everybody's life is, obstructed because you wanted to do something stupid in a car that wasn't even yours. Yep. It's crazy. I hope that, like I said, he does what he said he's going to do. It seems like Rusty Hardin has a huge retainer for these athletes that do stupid stuff. So I fully hope that, he can be better and recover from this. Before we jump back into Sixers stuff, let's talk about this. The Basketball Hall of Fame nominations are out. Jerry West will get his third, Chauncey Billups will get his first, and Vince Carter, one of our childhood idols, is going into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Morgan, your reaction to this?
I'm happy. I think this is a good class. The good nominations. I think all of these people are very well deserving. I drive past the Basketball Hall of Fame every time I go up and do sideline at Harvard, and I keep telling myself that I want to stop and go in, and I've never done it, and maybe one of these days soon I will. But I'm excited. I think it was great choices all around. How about you?
Yeah, I think this is great. I'm excited that the logo Jerry West is going in. I think he needs to get more respect. Whether you think he should be the logo or not in the NBA, he is, and it doesn't look like it's changing. So I am very, very happy for him. Very happy for Chauncey. Those Detroit Pistons that made sure that era of basketball changed from our childhood. That you were never going to see a 9-point basketball victory ever again. Marred by Chauncey Billups, who's doing great as a coach right now for the Trailblazers. Well, not really. As his record-wise, not really, but I guess he's doing great things in Portland. And Vince Carter, man, what can we say about Vince Carter, man? The man who made the dunk contest what it is. If it wasn't for him, would any of us really care about the dunk contest that are in our late 20s and early to mid 30s right now? Vince Carter probably should get a nomination all by himself just for that. But I'm so proud of all three of these players. Very happy for them. And maybe I need to make a trip up to Springfield, Massachusetts to see the Basketball Hall of Fame as well. It's a great idea, actually. But yeah, I'm excited for those three basketball players. And if we have nothing else, I believe we've covered everything else. We can get to this. the return of the reigning NBA MVP Joel Embiid, the king of Philadelphia sports, has returned to the floor and immediately comes back, and the Sixers go on a 3-game winning streak. I would say I told you so, but I told you so. Morgan had her moment about UConn, and I don't think anybody but like UConn haters doubted them. I think the team that was like slept on was probably the UConn women of the two. But like the Sixers are back and one game out of sixth place, and the scariest team. I just wrote an article that just made this. Last word on sports.com, the most dangerous teams heading into the NBA playoffs. That the Sixers, man. Like, Joel Embiid, right now the Sixers, I think, are 28-7 when he's on the floor. So they basically have a better record than the Celtics when he's on the floor. So I mean, there's a team in Boston that should be quaking in their boots and hoping that they don't have to see the Sixers until the second round. Or at best for them, the ECF. And so I think that the Sixers are very dangerous. I think that he will change the playoff. He's already changing the playoff picture. Like, they're on a 3-game winning streak, and it's been forever since I can say that. So Morgan, go ahead. What's your thoughts on this?
You told me so. I didn't really believe it was going to make a big difference. I think I said last week that I was like, yeah, it'll be good, but like, whatever. We talked about him going on the road, and you were excited because you were like, this means he's playing. I know it means he's playing. I'm happy for you. And he looks great. Like, coming off of stuff like that, sometimes you are worried about what they're going to look like, but he didn't seem to miss a beat. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly tired. Obviously, when you miss 2 months of basketball, as both of us can say, we didn't get to the level he's on. But as former basketball players, like, yeah, it's a lot when you miss time and have to go up and down the court. It's one of them things that football players don't have to worry about. But like, when you're running up and down the court, it really takes a toll on you. A lot of you don't have respect for what basketball players do, running up and down the court and staying in shape and staying hydrated, doing all that for 12 to 20 minutes a game. So like, it's
forget that these are massive human beings. They are like 6'6", the shortest of is probably the average height, I guess, of a lot of them, 6'7". And, it takes more for them to move up and down the court than it takes for somebody that's either of our heights.
Right. Yeah. So, and yeah, now that he's back, like, are the Sixers headed for a long playoff run of disappointment? I think they're heading for a long playoff run. But I could just as easily, I'm not saying, the next 2 games are against the Grizzlies and the Spurs. They have the easiest schedule left of the 3 teams that are in the play-in tournament. I think it's set up for them to get to the 6th seed, maybe even the 5th seed. And I know Josh is gone. I want to drill that last jab at him when he watches this or on re-record later. I think the Sixers will make the 6th seed. I think, like I said, they will end the Cavaliers' misery and send Donovan Mitchell either to New York or maybe Philadelphia. And I think that I didn't get a chance, but that must be Mike trying to shout me out right there. So what's up, Mike? I am very, very excited for this, but I think long playoff run. I'm hoping not disappointment, but if it does end up a disappointment, it'll be because of everybody not named Tyrese Maxey or Joel Embiid. What do you think, Morgan?
No, I agree with you. By the time the playoffs roll around, he will have gotten most of his endurance back, and I think that they will be scary for some of the teams that they have to play. We've been talking a lot about playoffs that have one game. Well, that's not how it works in the NBA. They play series, and generally that means that the better team wins. Obviously, teams can get lucky, but can't just win one. You got to win 5 to win. And I hope for your sake that they can make a long run that doesn't end in disappointment. But I think that there are a lot of other really good teams too.
Okay. Well, look, I think you just gave me an idea. I think that, the tournament, I know Josh doesn't want to change, and a lot of you don't, but I think it should be best of 3. I think you could do a best of 3 in the tournament. I think you could do a best of 3. Obviously, it won't lead to upsets, but I think you could do a best of 3. All right, so moving right along, I do want to hit one question because I think this was going to be a real good question. And let's just hit this for our WNBA draft watchers. Is the 2024 WNBA draft about to be the deepest one yet? Morgan, I will let you start.
I think the next 2 years are going to be pretty crazy. This year you have Angel, Caitlin Clark, you have Aaliyah Edwards, you have Cameron Brink, you have who's the last one? The big one I'm missing.
Camilla.
You had a lot of bigs, 4 bigs with Angel Reese. It's interesting, and I'm interested to see if maybe after this year we're going to see some of these older players that have been around for a while retire, just because there's so much good talent, and they are so good, and they're young, and they're fast, and they're strong, and I'm wondering how the older players are going to be able to keep up with them, because then you got next year when you got a few others of these huge players, coming out, and it's going to be crazy. These next 2 years are going to be really fun for the WNBA. I think you're going to see a lot more viewership. I think viewership in the WNBA is about to absolutely skyrocket.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is one of the deeper drafts. I think that it's obviously not deeper than 2013, which had Elena Delle Donne, Skylar Diggins, and Brittany Griner. I mean, you want to talk about 3 legends that are still playing right now, so I think that there were a little bit some more deeper drafts. But as far as star power, Caitlin Clark, obviously last year you had basically all of South Carolina seniors who are making a big, obviously the biggest star of that being Aaliyah Boston, but you have the star of stars, your favorite shooter's favorite shooter. I mean, she hasn't declared yet, but I think we all know she's going to. I think that's the worst kept secret in basketball, that Caitlin Clark is out. So I am so excited for people who are women's. I tell people all the time, I go back as far as the WNBA to when there were a WNBA team in Houston, the Houston Comets. I love Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, and Tina Thompson. So I am in love with the fact that the WNBA is about to rise again, not saying that it was down, but it's about to rise again back to that popularity. So I am all for the WNBA having a team. I'm all for a team coming. Let me lead the charge and be the first, because I don't think I've said this yet. Bring a team to Philadelphia. Why are y'all going to San Fran? I get why you're going to San Fran, because of the Warriors. And this to me, these next 2 years is going to be great for the WNBA. And they need to expand. You got a team in the West Coast. Now bring one to Philadelphia. I know the Sixers are trying to get a new stadium, but it doesn't matter. Bring one to Philadelphia right now. Just do it. Just do it. Why are you missing in the 4th biggest media market? Why are you missing a team? You all can say that nobody does sports better than Philadelphia. Nobody does anything better than us. But nobody does sports passion like Philly. And the fact that the WNBA isn't here in Philadelphia, isn't there in Vancouver, isn't back in Sacramento, go back to where your teams were. Why is there not a team in Charlotte? Why is there not a team in Houston again? Houston is a city on the rise. Why are the Comets not back? The WNBA has a chance to expand, bring those old teams back, and bring a team to Philadelphia. Because you need to expand. Like Morgan said, these older players, the reason why they don't expand, but it's ridiculous that some of these younger players have to go overseas after leaving college. They could have just stayed in college. Get some teams, get some more teams. Bring those legacy teams back, and bring a team to Philadelphia, for heaven's sake. Bring a team to Philadelphia. So keeping on the basketball thing, we love to talk about. I know the OKC Thunder fans probably get a lot of respect from us more than most people. But are the OKC Thunder championship contenders or pretenders? Now, bearing in mind, those of you that don't know, they did just lose to the 76ers on Tuesday and to the Celtics on Wednesday. So they went through the 2 best teams in the East. And they didn't win, but they're also missing Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams. Now there's 2 players on that team named Jalen Williams, so it will confuse you. But yeah, so they are missing Shai. But yeah, are they contenders or pretenders? I'll start here. I think they are contenders. They're number 3 right now, but like we talked about before, it's real tight in the Western Conference. Like between Minnesota, Denver, and Oklahoma City Thunder, that's going to be your number 1 seed. One of those 3 teams right now. I think it's Minnesota. So I think OKC are contenders. I think Denver's getting old at the wrong time. I think that Nikola Jokic is going to have to go God mode to get them back in the finals. And I think that either one I think OKC will take them down more than likely in the second round. But I think Denver will literally, and now Jamal Murray has gone down. I think Denver, Nikola Jokic will have to go God mode to get them to the WCF. I fully expect them to be in the WCF, but if they do get knocked off by any team, I can see it being the Thunder because they're lengthy. They can shoot the 3. They out rebound you. They're the 4th ranked defense in the association. They can whip a team. Now they didn't whip the Sixers or the Celtics, but that's just because they had to deal with Joel Embiid and the Killer Jays. So, and there's not many superstars in the West anymore. So, that's where I'm at. They are contenders. What about you, Morgan? Oh, the dogs are still barking, huh? Okay, I'll keep it moving. So yeah, the Thunder are contenders. The dogs are upset. Maybe the mailman or the mailwoman is here. So the Thunder.
At the mailman.
So the mailman's there. But yeah, I think they're contenders. The Timberwolves are also contenders. I think the pretender right now, unless something changes and they get healthy in the next 6 games, are the Nuggets. And that's no disrespect to the Nuggets. I just think that without Jamal Murray to take that pressure off of Nikola Jokic, that the Nuggets are heading for disappointment. So when Morgan, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that what you've been saying is like just so true, that a lot of these players, teams are not as deep as some of the other teams, that they are really relying on their stars, which is kind of true across the league, of course. But I think that the OKC has a shot again. I don't know. I feel like I keep going all over the place with some of these teams because I watch them one night and they look so good, and then I watch them the next night and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what is going on? So I think I need a few more weeks of watching before I can officially make my pick for who's going to win the championship. But I think they do have a shot, but I don't know if I think we're probably higher on them than most people are.
Yeah, so the other question to get our Boston fans upset at us once again, because I just love making the Celtics upset. Should the Boston Celtics blow it up if they do not win a chip this year? Morgan.
That's like it's championship or bust. Like that's the vibe that I'm getting. Boston hasn't won a champion. This has to be the longest drought that Boston has gone running from winning a championship with any of their sports, correct?
2008, yeah. I mean, I'm not a Boston historian, but it's been 16 years.
Like their best shot, So I think that if they don't win, you're going to have some really angry Bostonians, which is never something that you want. So I don't necessarily know if I believe that they should blow it up if they don't win the championship, but I think you're going to have a lot of fans that are calling for them to make a massive change if they don't win or go extraordinarily far. At least make it to the championship.
Well, as the biased Sixers fan here, I'm gonna, like I said, when it comes to this, I try, because I love basketball, I try to take my Sixers fan hat off and just be the objective journalist here. But I think the Boston Celtics, like I said, as long as they don't run up against the Sixers, they should make it to the finals. Now, do I think they have enough? I think that for them, it'd probably be better if they saw either the Thunder or the Timberwolves than the Nuggets. But I think that if they don't win, and they could necessarily lose, they could face the Sixers in the second round. They might face them in the first round if it doesn't change. I think that I have said that whenever the Sixers and the Celtics, I said this off air, I'll say it here. Whenever the Sixers and Celtics get together, whether that's in the first round, the second round, or the ECF, that is, for all intents and purposes, your NBA Finals. Because whoever wins that will more than likely, if they don't wear each other out like they did last year with the 7-game series, will more than likely end up in the finals. And whichever one of those teams win will probably beat the Nuggets, the Thunder, or the Timberwolves in the 7-game series. Just because it's a gauntlet out east. You got to deal with Joel Embiid. You got to deal with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You got to deal with Giannis and Dame Lillard. Like, it's a whole thing in the East. But I think if the Celtics do not get to the finals, and even if they lose the finals, they're going to need to blow it up. Because right now, they already done re-signed Jaylen Brown. They're not going to be able to keep Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday and then sign Jason Tatum next year to a new contract. They're going to have to choose. And right now, I think the choice, they've already made the choice to me. They picked Jaylen Brown. They signed him to the highest contract and the richest contract in the NBA. And they're going to have to get rid of a lot of their depth to keep Jason Tatum. And I just think I think the writing's on the wall. Like, they're not saying it, but kind of like with Josh Allen and kind of like with Justin Herbert, like, you get tired of everybody disappearing and you being the only one. I think Jason Tatum, he's not saying it. He's saying he wants the pressure, but I think he's out next year. I think when they if they don't win this year or next year, he's out. And I think that the Celtics are going to end up having to blow it up because Jason Tatum is going to make that choice for them. They're not going to do it willingly. He's going to make that choice, and they're going to have to build around Jaylen Brown. And I think Celtics fans should be prepared because I told Seahawks fans to be prepared about Pete Carroll leaving, and he left. So get like Scar, be prepared because Jason Tatum is out of here.
I agree.
Yeah. So our last question before we get to everybody's favorite segment: whose future would you rather have? The OKC Thunder with the young talent and all those picks, or the Celtics with Jaylen Brown, possibly Jason Tatum, maybe for another 2 years, and possibly nothing else? Where you at on it, Morgan?
I always go the younger and the draft picks. That's always going to be what I say. If we're talking future past this year, if we're talking this year, I would rather the Celtics' chances to win. But if we're talking about future in the next 5 years, I think the Thunder have my heart there.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm gonna say the Thunder. This question, like I said, whose future would you rather have? So, I think the Thunder. I think that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren are the next big duo in the league. And I think that, as long as they stay together, as long as the picks keep picking and they keep making really good trades with David Griffin as their GM, I think they'll be not David Griffin. I think that they will be really, really good. And as it's showing, they're about to make their first playoffs since 2019, which is crazy. That was 5 years ago. And the Boston was 6 years ago. Half of their fans are 24 now and haven't seen a championship. So I think that I would rather have the Thunder just because I think it'll be easier for Chet Holmgren to get an extension than it will be for them to figure out how to make it work and re-sign Jason Tatum and give him more money than Jaylen Brown, because obviously he deserves more money than Jaylen Brown. So so that's where I am. So now to our favorite segment. He's not him. She's not her. They aren't them. You want to start or should I?
You got it.
All right. So my he's not him. A first timer on this show. Emmanuel Acho. What are you doing? Uncomfortable conversations with a black man. What are you doing, dog? Angel Reese did not ask for that smoke, bro. We didn't ask you to bring up Courage the Cowardly Dog and basically say you can't be a roaring lion. This is what he said, y'all. He said that Angel Reese can't go from being a roaring lion to being Courage the Cowardly Dog. First off, props to you for that reference, but I'm mad that you put two goats together. First off, Angel Reese and Courage the Cowardly Dog have no bearing being together. Angel Reese is a queen. It was very disrespectful. And to his credit, he gave a not apology, but somewhat of an apology. If we're journalists, so we know how to read between the lines of somebody who's saying, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I'm more sorry I got caught.
Yeah, it's more, I'm sorry that I offended you is what it is.
Uh-oh. We lost Morgan. Go ahead. We lost you. You're back. You're still there. Oh, I think we lost it. But yeah, like he gave a not apology, and we kind of lost Morgan there. But yeah, it was a not apology. Oh, here she is. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, it was a I'm sorry that you were upset with me, not I'm sorry that I got caught.
Right, and then like
And I'm sorry that I got caught.
yeah, and then like Angel Reese put up that as I guess a sub tweet to him. She said what Damian Lillard said, like make sure the apology is as loud as your disrespect. For those of you that follow Angel Reese, you probably saw that tweet about it's probably double-digit hours ago, but she posted that. We know who she was referencing, Emmanuel Acho. So like it's crazy, man. I don't understand why these people like. I understand that like it is your job. Fox Sports pays you. They probably shouldn't be paying you, but they are to make these opinions. And then it was probably a producer who hoped that you would be respectful, and now you done brought negative attention to the show. But do better, Emmanuel Acho. He's not him, man. Do better. You should have known better. Like I like her as a Cali doll, but he has no business being with Angel Reese. Angel Reese is a queen. It's not her fault that LSU folded. It's more the fault of all the drama that was with that team, reported and unreported. And, he's not him to Emmanuel Acho. Be better. We talked about this before. When you have these platforms like we do with this Medium platform here, you have to be better. Like, journalists, we have to be. He's not a journalist, but journalists and analysts, you have to be. He's a prime example. Like we haven't talked about this on this show for a while. Of while some athletes don't deserve to be on television, and why there should be some better training there. He's a prime example of that. Like he does an all right job. I know some people, a lot of them being high profile Black sports journalists, most of them women, were coming at him saying, "This is why uncomfortable things with a Black man failed. This is why we hate your book." Like he was getting like Morgan. I don't know if you saw it, but he was getting roasted out here. Like
It was something.
Yeah, he was getting roasted out here. Like every famous Black reporter was out here roasted that man if they were females and they covered the WNBA. Angel Reese like has some family, relational and not relational that she probably found out about through that. So I am of the mindset that you have to be better, and Emmanuel Acho be better. Apologize to that woman, send her a DM, and just keep it moving, because she clearly, by that tweet, has not received a personal apology from you. So, yeah. So he's not him to that. They aren't them to everybody right now. I need y'all to be respectful. They aren't them to people who are out here. Now we about to get the two of the top three ballers going at it tomorrow or today. Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark, and I need y'all to be respectful. Paige Beckers is her, because she has already said that next year when she's the star of stars, she wants the attention to be spread. Angel Reese said this about my girl Daisha Fair, who got blocked out attention wise by her and Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers and Juju Watkins. Like, spread the wealth. Paige Beckers has already said, talk about Juju, talk about everybody coming next. Please spread the love. I think that this is why I like Paige more than I like Sabrina, and I like Sabrina, but Sabrina really doesn't touch on it the way Paige does. Like, they aren't them. Please be better, sports media. Like, we have a utopia of talent in the women's game. Let's spread it out. Like, I know Caitlin Clark sucked up all the oxygen this year. Not really her fault, but even she said that the attention has been too much on her. Like, spread the love. So they aren't them, the people who are about to compare. Obviously, we didn't get into this today, but of the two, Caitlin Clark is the better scorer. Paige Beckers is the better all-around player, because she's a two-way player. I just think that they're both the future of women's sports. They aren't them, the people who are comparing. Obviously, like, objectively, Paige Beckers is a better all-around player, and Caitlin Clark is the more skilled player. But yeah, they aren't them. They aren't them to those people doing that. My she is her to Paige Beckers. My she's not her. Man, my she's not her. Another one, first timer. Sage Steele. Another one, man. Like, she got into, again, we tried to stay out of politics, but she made a dumb comparison. And as a reporter, she should know better. She was basically saying, because she interviewed President Biden, I guess, a few years ago, that it was staged, and she was trying to make the whole thing that, usually as journalists, we don't do stage questions, or, we don't give interview questions. I'm all like, yes, we do, to big timers. Like, I'm sure, Morgan, I don't know if you did this, but I didn't do this either. But, if either one of us would have interviewed the chancellor or the president of JMU, or if I interviewed Chancellor Kent Severud of Syracuse, of course they will want the questions, because they want to know, they want their PR people to go. That's what happens when you interview big decision makers. Of course, President Biden or former President Trump or whoever would want the questions first so they can be prepped, because that's what we do in journalism. Like, do y'all really think that when they interview these people, it doesn't matter whether it's Mark Cuban, whether it's Michael Jordan, you think they don't have the questions pre-prepared? Like,
They don't have the questions. They're being sent the topics that things are going to be talked about, and their PR team is sending back topics that are off limits. So,
right.
It's
right. So she's not her to say still, because she knows better. She knows that half of these people are ignorant to what we do. This is no knock on y'all that listen to this podcast, but you are. You're ignorant to what we do. You think that any of y'all can do what we do. You can't. As evidenced by Emmanuel Acho and Gilbert Arenas, Morgan's favorite wizard. Like, as evidenced by, nobody can do what we do. Like, it's an art. It really is, to be able to do what we do. It's an art. Like, you have to be able to deal with people at their best and worst moments. You have to be able to have some humanity. I know a lot of people just think we journalists just are evil people who just want to have gotchas, but it's not really what happens. It's a lot of what we do. And she's not her to say still, because she knows better. She knows that most of these people on social media, specifically Twitter, are ignorant to what we do. And she was using that as a hit job on President Biden, when she knows that even if I interview Bob Iger right now, of course he will want the questions first, or like the topics of what it's about. Like, if regular college presidents do this, if deans do it, if athletes do it, heck, coaches do it. Morgan's interviewed football coaches. I'm sure they do it. You've been with Peter King. I'm sure he wasn't out here talking to Bill Belichick without Bill Belichick knowing he was coming and what he was about to ask, correct?
I don't know necessarily if Peter sends the questions beforehand, to be honest, but he definitely makes sure that if there's anything off limits, that he gets that cleared beforehand.
Right. That's what we all do. Whether you're Peter King, whether you're Colin Watson, whether you're Morgan Miller, whether you're Josh Leeper, it doesn't matter. If you're in this field, more than likely, if you're interviewing a bigwig, you will have their PR team or them themselves tell you, hey, what's this about? What's the topic? So I can know. And it's only fair that we do that so they can be prepared. All right, that's it for me. What about you?
So I have two. I have the first one is going to be Brad Underwood, the Illinois Fighting Illini men's coach. I don't know if you saw at halftime of the game.
Oh.
They were only, I think UConn was up by 3 or 5. They said he said, we're just going to keep attacking Klingon. If Klingon blocks 100 shots, he blocks 100 shots. Like, tell me you've never watched a UConn game without telling me you've watched UConn game. Like, what? The wrong thing to do. And then Klingon just went on to just block every shot. They got like 3% of the shots off when he was blocking. It was just stupid. Brad Underwood, get your crap together. Get your crap together. Second is them is going to be for Fanatics. Fiascos and I just, maybe it's more like MLB. Like, why? I just don't understand why these, the MLB players are like expressing their frustration. They're seeing sweat stains. The uniforms are mismatched. There was no issue. I don't know why we changed. And all of a sudden now, like, they're saying that they're having performance issues. They are saying, what are they saying? The jerseys don't have that big league feel to them anymore. it's just interesting. I don't really know why they decided to change it. They look ridiculous. You can see the sweats all over all of their bodies. It's just weird. And yeah, they're just like they're icky, and they look like I could buy them at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Oh man, Fanatics catching strays from Morgan.
Yeah.
I just want to send a shout out before we end this show to somebody who just subscribed. Look at that, RC on Aces, Hawkeyes, and Bruins. Shout out to you. He or she just subscribed. Sorry, not described. Subscribed. So salute. So definitely, we want to shout out our audience. We thank you all for listening.
Yeah.
Big one there. Thank you for the subscribe. Really appreciate that. But my day, I forgot to say this. My day are them. The second one in history. My day are them. To my city, Philadelphia. We, it's about to. We were talking about this before off air. Morgan and Morgan is not a big wrestling fan, but right now the city of Philadelphia from Thursday to Monday is being taken over. Not really, but is being taken over for WrestleMania. So those of you that don't know, I think everybody, whether you're a wrestling fan or not, you know about WrestleMania. There's at least one wrestling fan in your life, so you know if nothing else, you know about WrestleMania right now. WrestleMania is in Philadelphia, so a bunch of people are coming together. I just saw Kyle Brand, because I follow him on Twitter. He's coming with his son. Seems like it's about to be a big sports journalist and journalist family reunion. Some of us meeting for the first time. It's about to be a big time in Philadelphia. I think we will never look more beautiful. I mean, obviously, when the World Cup comes in 2 years, but it's my day are them to Philadelphia for even being able to host such a big event. Like Fanatics is hosting a whole fan convention in the convention center here. I know Morgan has finally been in the area now for the dog show, so she knows that when Philly parties, we party. So it's a big event. Next time she got to come in the city and text her brother. But come
on.
But yeah, which she's not working. But yeah, like it's about to be a real good time. Really excited for that. I'm going. So if you are here for WrestleMania, hit us up or hit me up. Not Morgan, she's not here. But at Kyla W. Watson, if you want to
finding some Huskies to support.
Yeah. She I might need her. She's gonna be the basketball reporter this weekend because I will be at WrestleMania and doing SmackDown is tonight, so I'll be doing SmackDown. But if you're here for any of these nights of WrestleMania, let me know. Somebody just commented. Here you go, Morgan. But yeah, so. She'll be so hit her up for all the Connecticut and basketball stuff. She'll have to cover all the basketball. This is the first time I'm asking. So if you see some Sixers stuff from her, you'll know why, because I will be covering, not covering, but actually being there at WrestleMania, and doing that these next 3 days. So for those of you that are used to seeing Sixers articles and other stuff when Sixers games happen, you probably won't be seeing that from me because I'll be doing the WrestleMania stuff this weekend. So, it's going to be exciting for everybody. Exciting time for basketball and wrestling fans. Exciting time for Philadelphia. And this Caitlyn versus Paige matchup is what you're here for. Stay for that. Stay for I think before that, South Carolina whooping up on NC State. And we will see, man. It's going to be an exciting time. Sunday and Monday, we'll see what the championship game is. We will probably react to it because, like I said, I'll be doing WrestleMania, so there won't actually be a show this weekend unless you like hearing fireworks and wrestling in the background, Morgan. But yeah, so we're excited for that. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for your comments. As you've seen, we will definitely highlight it. So please, we encourage you, live comment. But final thoughts and goodbye. So my day are them to the city of Philadelphia. We're going to look beautiful this weekend. Hopefully nothing happens. We did all have an earthquake that we all experienced. But hopefully that's the end and short of it right there. But yeah, basketball.
It's going to be really fun. I'm really excited. I'm happy for you. I'll keep you guys updated on my half marathon when I finish. I'll post on Twitter.
Right. Morgan's got her half. It's a big weekend for all of us. WrestleMania, half marathons. You just had the dance thing. How'd that go? How'd the dance luncheon
It
go?
was really fun. We had our dance banquet last night. It was great. So our new season starts in about a month and a half. I got tryouts. So it's crazy. It's seemingly never ending. But
yeah. So definitely make sure you all follow us. At M India Miller for Morgan on X/Twitter, at Kylan W Watson. Like I said, my account's basically going to be a wrestling thing this weekend. But I will try and keep you all posted, at least retweet whatever the score is when the Sixers play the Grizzlies and the Spurs this weekend. And Josh is at Jay Leaper. So definitely make sure that you all comment on that. And again, like I said, we really do enjoy. Yeah, you too, man. Have a good one as well. We thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning into Sports Hour Plus from Miller and Watson, where we try to give you your sports in an hour plus. We went the 2-hour mark, but that's just because we had
plus today.
Yeah. We definitely did the hour plus today, but 2 hours. Any final thoughts from you, Morgan?
No, have a great championship weekend. Great WrestleMania, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yep.